Hey guys, what's happening? I'm Nick and I want to share with you the skills, tips and techniques that have propelled my drawings from this to this in less than a year. Good evening guys, Artistic Nick here, thanks for the click. In tonight's review I'm going to be looking at the Faber Castell 9000 series graphite pencils. Faber Castell is a German brand, has been around since the 1700s and very well known for their quality pencils and artists' equipment. So here's the Faber Castell 9000 series tin that they come in. I've obviously taken the 5 pencils out that I'm going to be using for today's review, but this set goes from a 5H to a 5B, so the range that you're going to need for pretty much anything. They're a beautiful looking pen, very light to the hand, much lighter than the Caran D'ache, which is the last review that I did, and these are actually a normal size pencil. So I did say in the Caran D'ache review that the Caran D'ache was slightly thicker, so this will work with any sharpener, anything that you get from any of the local stores, and your mechanical sharpeners. So the pencils that I'm going to be using today for the review, we've got a 2H, an HB, a 2B, a 3B and a 4B. So I'm going to be doing exactly the same review in the same way that I did with the Caran D'ache. So what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to show you the different values and how they move from one value to the next. So starting with the 2H, the one thing that you definitely notice with the Faber Castell is they're a much harder pencil than the Caran D'ache. They go on very smoothly. I found some of them slightly gritty. I do think it's a slightly more gritty pencil than the Caran D'ache. It doesn't quite go on as smooth. So we're jumping up to the HB now, and you're just going to get a feel for what these values are like, what they represent. Now, not every pencil that you look at is a 2B is not always going to be a 2B in comparison to the next brand. I think the Caran D'ache come very close to being an accurate representation, but not entirely the same with the Faber Castell. I do think these come out slightly lighter. So we've gone to the 2B there, onto the 3B. So again, as we move up the ranges, the darker tones, the closer we get to a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9B, the darker and the softer the lead is. And finally with the 4B now. So we have nice gradual increases in value. So from the 2H all the way up to the 4B. Good value, good coverage, they're very nice to layer with. The one thing that I do find with them that I've recently discovered is the Faber Castell do go over the Caran D'ache beautifully. So if I were to use a 4B Caran D'ache, and once I've started to get as much value out of that pencil as I can, if I go over with even a 3B of the Faber Castell, I do find that I'm able to get more value and a richer tone. So that's one thing that I have been experimenting with recently on one of my latest pictures. So if I show you my latest picture that I'm doing, this is a portrait of my daughter. So in these darker areas here, I've gone up to a 4B in the Caran D'ache, but with the 3B pencil here of the Faber Castell, you can actually see that with minimal pressure, I'm actually able to get some more value out of this. So I do think that these two pencils complement each other really well. So this is definitely something that I'm going to be exploring in my next few drawings, is just how well they layer up. And how I can get some more value into certain areas. So that's just something that I've discovered recently, which I thought was quite an important thing to get across there. So as I did with the Caran D'ache pencils, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a time-lapse sphere just to show you, and I'm going to use a 4B again. So I use the 4B in the Caran D'ache review. So I'll time-lapse this just so that it doesn't take too long, and I'll see you once I've finished this sphere. So here's the time lapse as promised of the sphere. I'm starting with the 4B, and what I had to do, I had to use the HB in the centre of this sphere to get the lighter range. I do say later on in the review how I do struggle these Faber Castell to get a range of value with any one pencil. So here's the sphere. Hope you like it. I hope you continue watching to the end of this review. Okay, so there we go. There we have it. We've developed a sphere here, and what I'm just going to show you now is using my kneaded eraser, which is actually a Faber Castell kneaded eraser. It's a lovely kneaded eraser. I'm just going to take the highlight out. If you watch the review of the Caran D'ache pencils, I did the very similar thing. So when I'm doing any of my work, I like to take out value by just dabbing a kneaded eraser on. So it's quite important just to see how well the value does come off of the paper. The graphite comes off of the paper with just a dabbing action, and as you can see there, it's coming off quite well. So we're able to get this highlight in this hot spot on this sphere quite easily just by dabbing. So it does remove pretty well. I'm using an Arches paper, so I'm using the same paper that I used for my Caran D'ache review. So if you've not seen that one, I'll put a link up above now so you can go and watch that and compare the two. How does it rub out as a normal swiping or swooping stroke? So if I try and take the value out there, as you can see, the harder pencils come off pretty well, all the way down to the 4B. I've pressed on much harder when I'm showing you the gradations here than I ever would do doing any sort of work that I'm looking to keep. So I have ground some of the graphite down certainly into the darker pencil, so it's not completely coming off, but I'm sure with a rubber eraser I could get most of that off, so it does come off quite well. All in all, it's a really lovely pencil. The one thing for me that I don't find is as good as the Caran D'ache is I don't find that each pencil has the range of value that I like. I like each pencil to have a range of value in it. So I do find with the Faber Castell that you reach the limit of each pencil much quicker than you do with the Caran D'ache, which just doesn't quite give me as much control as I like over the values. But all in all, it's a lovely pencil. They're much cheaper than the Caran D'ache. I think this set cost me about £10, whereas the Caran D'ache pencils are coming in at about £2 per pencil. So slightly more expensive with the Caran D'ache. So it's a lovely pencil to use. I've not got any gripes with it. It sharpens well. The leads seem to hold up very well. As you can see, we've got a good range here of values. They go onto the paper lovely. They come off of the paper lovely. So it's a great pencil. For me, the range of value is slightly better with the Caran D'ache. So this would be my second pencil of choice. It does feel slightly harder as you're drawing with it, and I think that the HB certainly in this range feels more like a 2H. Certainly in the Caran D'ache. So the HB does feel very, very hard, almost like an 2H, maybe even a 4H in some cases. So that's my review. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you're using the Faber Castell 9000 series, let me know what you think of them, if you think that my review's about right or I've missed something out. But thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned for more art product reviews, and I will see you in the next video. Hit subscribe, smack the notifications button, follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.